Yeah. What is up, fellow benchwarmers? Welcome to your daily fantasy. What's up, guys? Welcome to another quickie. It's day 1 of week 19. Not Judgment Day, but playoffs for some of you guys. And there's lots of news that went around this today. Lots of interesting recovery news as well, and we'll talk about them in a bit. My name is JJT with Komish Eric. Lots of interesting injury news. But let's talk about Giddy first. I think we talked about him for the past few quickies. Looks like he's going to be out longer than maybe we would expect or hope for.
I'm just worried that he could be the equivalent of SGA last season. We were all worried about SGA this season becoming what he was last season with the plantar fasciitis injury last season.
Yeah.
The injury, it's kind of very similar. The way it sounds kind of similar. Like, oh, it's a hip issue. It's this. It's that. It's gonna be out for some time. It's not gonna be day to day. It's gonna be this. It's gonna be that. Just because it's a Thunder, nothing to play for. It's their top rookie. It's their jewel. So they'll be very careful. I don't expect to see him this week, even next week. So hopefully, if he's week 21, hopefully we can see him. Yeah.
If you are in the playoffs right now and you've got other players in your IL, I guess this would depend on who are the players in your IL, right? Let's say you might have Darius Garland there, or who else? Fred VanVleet, for example. Let's say it's full. Do you drop Giddy at this point if you're in the playoffs?
If you are in the playoffs right now, it's a knockout playoffs. I assume everything is knockout playoffs. Yes, I will drop him. Because if you can't put him in your IL, you're going to have a dead roster spot in the playoffs. Unless you're playing the 8th seed that's really worse than you and you're 100% confident. That depends on you. Because some managers will say, even if I have 2 injured players, I can beat my opponent. Yeah, okay. Then that's... We're going to just answer the question assuming that, you're in a very important battle. It's going to be close because it's a playoffs. So, yeah, I will do that. You cannot have dead roster spot in the playoffs. It's not gonna work.
And that's also the difference between playoffs and the regular season. It's going to be easier to drop these players in the playoffs because you are not going to think about the long-term impact of dropping a player like Josh Giddey.
If you're in your playoffs, it's your last 3 weeks. Could be your last week. So who cares? Who cares about Josh Giddey coming back on week 22 or 21 or whatever, right? It doesn't matter to you anymore. It matters to us. I have a week 21 start playoff, a week 22 start playoff. It matters to me in my league, but it doesn't matter to you. So I cannot, at this point, we cannot give generic advices that add drop. Depends on where you are. What stage your season is in, your league is in.
Yeah. If you are not yet in the playoffs and you have made it to the playoffs, wait another week, see what happens next week, right? And go from there. You'll take it week to week basis or matchup to matchup and see what happens. Another 2 players who are reportedly closing in on a return, Alex Caruso and Lonzo Ball. Now, this is going to be interesting because some leagues would have playoffs starting next week, or even week 21, 2 weeks from now. And I think Lonzo is in the 5th week of his original timetable of 6 weeks. So that means he might have a couple of weeks left. Caruso, on the other hand, it had a hand injury. So at least the conditioning might be there. Who do you stash?
Lonzo. This is just how I
think Lonzo will come back first?
Yes, Lonzo will come back first, then Caruso. And I will look at it this way. I just feel like when they both come back, who's the better fantasy player? Lonzo by a mile over Caruso. They're not the same tier, same level. So you stash Lonzo for sure. And Caruso is not worth stashing. He's cleared not for practice or contact practice. Still 2 weeks. It reported 2 weeks or weeks before he does that. And when he does that, 1 week again before he can probably play. So that's 3 weeks already. That's week 22 or 23. And it's just Caruso. It's not an AD. It's not a PG. So it's not worth it. Not worth to put in an IL spot. Lonzo, on the other hand, yeah, I'll put him in an IL spot. If you're a week 22, maybe playoff, something like that. I think he won't come back on the 6th week of the 6 to 8 weeks. I doubt it. I don't think that will happen.
So
probably
he is, if your playoffs start next week.
If you have an IL, yes. But if you don't, I will not bother with it. I will not bother with.
All right. So just to clarify, at least what playoff scenario we're in, you'll stash him.
Okay. Can I'll give this example. I'm let's say I'm third, and there's no twice to beat. There's no buy. There's no anything. There's no incentive.
Yeah.
I'll add Lonzo for this week. I'll just add him, put him a dead weight on my roster, even if I don't have an extra IL. Just carry him until the end of the week. And then when it's going to be week 20, if there's still no news with Lonzo, I'll just drop him again. Yeah. That's what I will do.
All right. So I think that somehow gives you an idea who to stash and when to stash these players. Is it the right time to stash? Because not everyone is probably qualified to stash players like these, because like we said, the playoffs are just around the corner or has started, so not everyone will benefit. Darius Garland is another worrying injury. Yeah, he is like a day-to-day thing, right? He is more like a I think the notes said that it's more of a pain tolerance thing. I think we talked about it as well yesterday. I don't expect him this week.
Yeah, I don't expect him this week. It doesn't seem like he's near. It doesn't seem like he's near. So, but Garland, you have to put in your IL. That's a given. You just have to put him in your IL. Even if this is your playoff week, I'm sure you have an IL. Well, if you don't have an IL, sorry for you. But
you don't go dropping Garland.
Not at this point. Not at this point. If it's your playoff, no IL in your playoff, the last few days it's close. You need to drop Garland. I will drop Garland. That's do or die. There's no point. Even if you have to drop LeBron to advance, you drop LeBron to advance. That's just you just have to do what you have to do to advance.
No, I'm just in my mind. I'm thinking right now, who are the injured players we're stashing that are even higher than Garland at this point? There's really not much.
None.
Right? I mean, maybe AD, but you probably drop AD if it's your playoff this week, right? You won't be back even when you reach the finals. You probably
I don't get that AD question. Why are people stashing him when it's 4 weeks from now? It's week 23 to 24. That's his return date. So
like I said,
where would you use?
No one's dropping AD. I haven't really seen AD. I will admit I have leagues wherein I haven't dropped him, but just because I don't have other players on my IL, so it really doesn't make sense for me to drop him, because I couldn't, even if I drop him, I still couldn't stream, right? Because the other players are worth rostering, at least for now. So once I get a person there who is not worth rostering, I'll probably drop. I'll just find the right time, because I also couldn't find anyone in the waiver I can stash in my IL. So everyone's been picked up. So that's the only reason why I still have him in my IL. But when the opportunity comes, I'll probably drop him. Anyway.
When the playoffs comes, when there's another injury, just a sprained ankle. Let's say Drummond got injured today. I don't know how serious it is. If you're in your playoffs and then they say maybe 1 week, maybe something, and then you don't have a spot in your IL, you have to make decisions ready. You have to make tough decisions. Kevin Porter Jr. is questionable. A lot of managers been asking, should we drop? This is my take to them. If you can add somebody that has going to add value to your team, You drop KPJ. It doesn't matter if he plays tomorrow. Just move on. Uncertainties is really gonna kill you in the playoffs.
And to be honest, in the playoffs, if you look at the free agent pool, if you're in a 14-team league, there are lots of players there available. I can see lots of players. The Hartensteins are there, the Kennards, some, the other players. Bruce Brown sometimes is there. In some 14 teams. So there are a lot of options. Yesterday, before today's game, Achua was there. I mean, if it's your playoffs, if you picked up Achua, that's 5 games for you, and just drop the injured player that has no certainty. I mean, and that's the way to go, I guess. But yeah, Darius Garland is a stash. Whether you're starting your playoffs now, because he might be back later this week, or maybe at the next week if you make the semis. Yeah, but you should stash him. And I don't see anyone better than him worth stashing at this point, because the next levels are what? The Chris Pauls who are probably out, right? The ADs. Not even Draymond. I've seen Draymond drop. No one picked him up. I've seen Draymond drop and no one picked him up. Cleared waivers already. So available for free. So anytime he is there, you'll probably pick him up. He's ready to go. Kristaps is another worry player. Now, Kristaps might be something that's, if you're in the playoffs.
Same thing.
Is he on the level of Garland?
Yes, he's in the level of Garland. But I would stash Garland more than Kristaps because I don't even know if Kristaps will come back. That's my concern. There's been talks of shutting down. There have been talks of shutting down even when he was traded to the moment he was traded to Washington. But they said no. But he has not even been practicing. He's not even been doing anything. So it will take time. I have Kristaps in one league, but I have only Kristaps in the IL. I have 2 IL. That's the league with 2 IL spots. So I'm keeping him. I'm keeping Kristaps for now, as long as I can.
Yeah. And the buyout would be sometime later tonight. Right?
Yeah.
So until tomorrow morning, Manila time.
I think I'm not too sure exactly about how this works, but what I know is March 1. So I don't know if it's the whole day of March 1 or there's a time like the trade deadline, but it's March 1. And I just put the only notable one here is that DeAndre was waived.
Yep.
And then DJ Augustine was signed. It's so very low.
Is DJ Augustine an ad?
No, he's not an ad. I mean, if he's gonna be an ad, then the Lakers are really screwed. I mean, if they have to DJ, not yet. I think DJ will have value maybe down the road when the Lakers are down and out. They would need, and they would not play Westbrook or whatever, but not now. It's no point in adding him this early. Okay. I'm just put out John Wall there. Just a little tip. Just in case, I know that very little possibility. As I said, if you're number 1 already or you're number 2, there's no incentive. There's no nothing. You can add him today. Just you can sleep tight when you wake up, and then there's suddenly a news that he got bought out or whatever. It's in your roster already. And if 90% of the chance you wake up tomorrow, there's no news, just drop him again.
Well, that is, of course, you have a player to drop. Yeah. You don't drop anyone for John Wall. In case you're looking for players to add, Brandon Goodwin could be a good one, at least for this week.
Yes.
Yes. I've added him. He is kind of available because they don't have a game tomorrow. So if he was not added yesterday for today's game, he might still be available there because people think that Garland might come back the next game. But yeah, I mean, worth a shot adding Brandon Goodwin. Today he had a double-double. Of course, the Indiana guys, Jalen Smith and O'Shea Brissett, still add, although I don't see a lot of O'Shea. Trey-Man, maybe in some leagues, if other managers are not yet as confident with Trey-Man, because there are a lot of managers that are not as confident with Trey-Man yet, as a safe add.
He had a bad game today, but he had 11, 3, and 4. That's progress for me. When he had a bad game before, he would not even reach 5 points. He would be 2 out of 10 or 11, wouldn't do much.
Yeah.
The way the Thunder setup right now, Trey is basically their second guy after SGA. So add him. Add him in standard leagues, add him in 14-team leagues. Just add him.
Markel Fultz. Let's talk about Markel Fultz a bit.
Yeah, look good. Look good.
He had, 12 points?
10 points and 6 assists in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's nice numbers.
Yeah, nice numbers. And he looked good. He looked fresh. I mean, not playing for 2 years. So it looked okay. I would be okay adding him in deeper leagues, maybe in 18 or 20, if it's not yet your playoffs. Because tomorrow they have a back-to-back, I think.
Mm-hmm.
No back-to-back. I mean, he will not play in their back-to-backs. So that's a worry. That's a worry for him. But if you still have time before your playoffs, I think Fultz in a deeper setup would be good for assists. He'll be good for assists.
And maybe a stream option in case you're in a deep league. And you're in the playoffs. So Fultz could be a good add there. But if you are in, you're gonna have your playoffs week 22, maybe you want to keep a close eye on Fultz. He might be useful like week 23, 24. I mean, that's 3-4 weeks, a month from now.
I wouldn't say very, very useful. I doubt he's gonna be, suddenly given 30 minutes or 25, 28, 30 minutes. I really don't see it. But he has shown today in 15 minutes he could contribute. In 18 minutes he can contribute. So even if just 20 minutes, he could have streaming value. I'll see him more as a player I could add as a streamer at some point.
Bruce Brown, like we say, Bruce Brown looks like Brooklyn's star player when Kyrie is out.
Yeah.
Another double-digit scoring today. I think he's had 5 or 6 straight double-figure scoring, and he contributes across the board. So should be added at this point. I see a lot of Bruce Brown. Maybe people see him for now as a streaming option. Yeah, you can do that. But I think short-term hold for Bruce Brown is also okay.
Yeah, the problem with Bruce Brown, the longer you don't add him, the lesser the value becomes.
Yes.
Because KD will come back.
And you know that streak of good games
will
is closing to an end, right?
So maybe that's the reason why you see him in FAs. It's like people are saying, "Oh, I know he's gonna be good, but if I add him, it's a waste of one move because I have to drop him again." So maybe that's what they're worried about. I think KD comes back, he remains a starter. I do feel that's what they're gonna do. But Ben Simmons should be around the corner also. So I don't know.
I think with KD back, he loses a bit of value, but I think he still is worth that last spot in your roster. But as soon as both Kyrie and Simmons or any one of those guys play, he loses a lot of value with KD back. So I think that's how Bruce Brown would be. And I think I think he would be dropped when KD comes back, just because they might have some road games wherein Kyrie plays and then he doesn't do much. But yeah, for now, let's just ride it. Who else are available? Trey Lyles from the Kings.
Okay.
I can't believe Trey Lyles scored 24 points and Holmes couldn't even get a few minutes. Not today, but previously before getting injured. Couldn't even get off the bench.
No, it's a matchup. It's a fit thing, not matchup. Fit. Sabonis is a center. Holmes is a center. And they both play down low. And Lyles, if you watched a while ago, pick and pop, stay at the 3-point line, just take the open threes. It's perfect. He's perfect for the team. And I know he's available in all of my leagues. I haven't picked him up yet. Just to be honest. Of course, we don't know what's up with Harkless. There's no injury report. He just did not play at all today. So I don't know if he's going to be totally out of the rotation. But if he is, Lyles is actually a good add. Remember in Detroit what he did. So people are still, on the fence. But if he starts again the next game, I mean, Lyles could be a playoff help for you guys.
Yeah. Shedai Osman getting more minutes in Cleveland.
Yes.
I don't know. I've been burned by Osman a lot of times.
Me too.
So
but
I won't go too excited adding him. But like you said, he's getting the minutes.
Osman is the player you add and then close your eyes, say a prayer, and then
you see
let Jesus take the wheel, kind of an ad. Osman, I've told you before that I like Markkanen because there's no scorers in Cleveland, and it's still the same thing. So it could be Markkanen, it could be Osman. Well, today Goodwin played well, the shots fell, but it won't be Okoro for sure. It won't be Mobley for sure. Mobley is not really a flat out scorer, so there is a chance for Osman. There is a chance for Osman.
Lonnie Walker remains hot. Would you add Lonnie Walker first over Osman?
I would add Lonnie Walker first. He should be added. I don't know if you still have Lonnie Walker.
There's a lot of Lonnie Walker.
He's the same thing as the guy who's.
I think he's seen more like a streamer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's seen close to being a Brooks Brown. I mean, people don't see him as a whole type of player. Just I'll just stream him, but the problem with him is that he is very scoring dependent. So I think people are worried. What if he doesn't score? If he doesn't score, he doesn't do much. He's not like Bruce Brown. At least if Bruce Brown doesn't score, he gets 6-7 rebounds for you, a few assists, a few steals, right?
I was gonna say exactly like Bruce Brown, the player who, if you keep him longer in the FA, the value decreases and decreases because the chances of you picking him up on the time that he's gonna produce a dud gets higher.
Yeah.
But he's been hot. 6 straight games of 17 and above points. The last 3 games he's averaged 22 points a game. The last three straight. That's with the DeJounte. Without DeJounte, he's been consistent. I mean, how could you find points in the waiver wire like this? It's very hard. So if you are fighting for points, but it's a shot.
The thing is, between Bruce Brown and Lonnie Walker, Walker's value might stick if he stays this hot. I mean, because there's really no injuries there that can stop him from scoring that much. Unlike Bruce Brown, wherein when KD returns, we all know he loses value. Lonnie Walker could be a safer ad, I guess.
You could say that.
In the medium term, right? But if you're in the playoffs, might ride the hot hands and stream him in some games. Easier to drop him later on. So, Lonnie Walker. Even if you're not in the playoffs, I think he's worth adding if you have other players in your roster. Like I don't know. I think
especially if you're not in the playoffs, I guess. I mean, it's
if you're not yet in the playoffs, just add him.
Yeah, the risk is less, and if you just take it day by day, game by game.
Yeah.
If the next game is still hot, okay, just keep him there.
Yeah.
So the more if you're not in the playoffs, it's a safer ad.
I mean, when we say not in the playoffs, you're not yet starting your playoffs, but you are within that. You've qualified already for the playoffs. You have this chance to take a little more risk, add him, see where it goes, how far it stays, and then when the playoffs start, you can easily drop him anyway and pick up another player. So, I've seen maybe you're holding on to some other guys too long, right? I don't know if you're still holding on to maybe. Would you rather have Lonnie Walker over maybe Raul Neto?
I would rather have Neto for the assists and steals because I need that. But if I need scoring, I would go with Lonnie. I'm still worried about Satoransky. Let's see tomorrow if Satoransky plays, how it works, how it shapes out, how it works out. So it depends on what stat you need.
Yeah. How about if you have Kennard?
Okay, Kennard. I would still go Kennard. I would go Kennard. I value threes. You love Kennard. I love Kennard.
I know, but Lonnie gives threes. Lonnie gives points. The same pretty much stat that Kennard gives. The only difference is we all know we're not sure how the Clippers would go with Kennard. I mean, we know we like him, But we all know that it's a rotating thing in terms of who does play more and who
No,
does play less.
Kennard has gotten the minutes. The minutes is consistent. He just had a bad game the last time out, but if you watch before that, the minutes are there. That's why I'm not worried about Kennard. There's no point guard in LA. It's Jared Jackson. There's nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
So Kennard will get minutes. So I like Kennard more than and looking at their history. Just also look at their history. Lonnie Walker, when he starts to go cold, he is really cold. So he does.
Lonnie Walker was cold for probably 60% of the season.
Yes.
He's just been hot over the past few weeks. So yeah, just saying. Gabe Vincent, Lowry's out for another. Yeah. I am not sure. He's gonna be probably out for another 1 or 2 more games. Hopefully, that's just it. But yeah.
Did they say that?
No, I'm just guessing.
Hopefully not.
Because it's something personal, so I'm not sure what that is.
The last time we had somebody say that it's about his mom.
Mm-hmm.
So we're hoping nothing bad news happened, but just connecting the dots could be that. So yeah, just why I put Vincent there.
Gabe Vincent, a stream. Matt Flynn is a similar boat, I guess, as Gabe Vincent, because Fred VanVleet has been questionable for a few games now.
Yes.
So we're not sure.
Didn't I put Achua?
There is Achua. I put him last here. Precious Achua should be, added.
Yes.
Of all the players I talked about, I think Achua, the last one, is the guy to really add.
Yes.
But I rarely see Achuas especially this week. This week, you should have added him already. Even if you missed out, adding him for today's game, still add him if he's still available.
4 games more. Yep. 4 games more.
Tad Young.
Yeah. I added Tad for this week. I chose between Tad and Achua. I only chose Tad because Achua can hurt you. Field goal, free throw. I know it because I own him in some leagues before. So that's why I used Tad. But Achua is okay. Tad is also okay.
Yeah. Let's talk about some worry players. Desmond Bain had another bad game.
Yeah.
I'm worried that this is going to be something that might stick for a while.
Shooters, scorers. That's how it happens. You have
the only good thing is he had 5 assists today. So
6, I think. He had 6 assists. I'm not too sure. But Ja Morant was so hot today, 52 points. So I guess, he will not be scoring 52 points all the time. My worry is he's cold while Dillon Brooks is still out. I don't know what's up with Dillon Brooks.
The usage king. Wait, another guy we forgot to talk about, Dillon Brooks. I think, we should stash some Dillon Brooks.
You can, because I don't know what happened, but he should be back by now.
Yeah,
because
I think before the All-Star break, he was probably a week out of that timeline that they provided. So yeah, maybe he's close. We all know Memphis is not as open to discussing timelines of players. We all know Jaren Jackson, right? So maybe it's the same thing. But I think he's gonna be close. But yeah, I stashed him in a lot of leagues because I saw him and I wanted some IL guy to put on my IL spot. So yeah, if you're talking about some stash guys, we didn't talk about him yesterday, but yeah, could be one of your stash guys. The usage king, Dillon Brooks. Jaren Jackson is also having his struggles of late. I think he has had 2 or 3 bad games now.
The shooting is bad. Today he got into foul trouble, but still got 5 turnovers somehow. So this is vintage Jaren Jackson. If you own him, you know that sometimes it's really irritating, but all will be forgiven if he gives me 3 blocks and 4 steals tomorrow, or 5 blocks, 4 steals.
Yeah,
6 3-pointers. He has those games also. So it's Zubac.
A lot of our worry players aren't drop material type of players. You probably won't drop these guys. And since, most of the leagues have their trade deadline already passed, there's really not much you can do but just to take the slump and go with it, right? You can't do much. Even if you're in the playoffs, I don't think you're gonna go drop your Jaren Jacksons. I don't think
No,
you'll
no,
do
no,
that.
no.
So yeah, and another player, maybe the last among the worry would be Pascal Siakam. He's had what, a string of bad shooting games already.
The whole week last week and then today,
Yeah.
it's been bad. 2 out of 14 today.
The
I don't know.
only silver lining today is he had what, 3 steals and 2 blocks, or 2 steals and three
Yes.
blocks, something like that.
That salvaged the line, but it's the shooting that's really hurt him. I don't know if he's trying to do too much because OG's out, Van Vliet is out, so maybe the defense also has made him the priority without those players that make him easier to defend or whatever, or just he's just not making the shots like Desmond Bain. But that's how fantasy goes. Bain and Siakam was in our feel good for so long. I mean, again and again and again. So it just goes, up and down.
Well, at least Siakam can help in the other areas. It's just the shooting. If you're relying on him for that, that might not be the right strategy.
Same with Cole Anthony, as another worry player. Fultz will not, as we talked about Fultz a while ago, he might not be 12-team, 14-team league guy for the rest of the season, but he can hurt those who are 12-team and 14-team league guys, which are Jalen Suggs and Cole Anthony. Cole got 28 minutes today, so I don't like that. I need him at 33, 34 minutes, because he's a very high,
Unfortunately, though, I don't think he'll get there now.
I don't know.
Especially if Fultz is playing. I don't think he'll get there.
I do not know. That's one thing we have to see, because if they're just gonna play Fultz and Hampton, maybe he gets there. But if they're gonna play Gary Harris, Terrence Ross, and the others also, he might not get to 33 or 34. He might be 30 at the most.
Yeah. So but Cole Anthony, don't go dropping him yet. Let's talk about a few feel-good players. Maybe let's talk about Scottie Barnes. Making a mark today. 28 points, 16 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 steals, 1 block. If you don't look at the name, these are what, Giannis type numbers, right?
He has been compared to Giannis a lot of times. I mean, there's been comparisons about Giannis at rookie year and Barnes at rookie year. So yes, I get what you're saying about Barnes and Giannis. I was down on Barnes for a while because of when they were healthy. But when they're not healthy, Barnes is a monster. And OG, we don't have an update on OG. He's supposed to be looking at with a specialist. And remember what we say, if there's no update after seeing a specialist, it's usually not good. So, just saying.
Wait, let's talk about OG. If you're in the playoffs, do you still hold him?
It's the same thing for every player.
Do you hold him over Josh Giddey?
I'll hold him over Giddey, I think. I'll wait for update. I'll hold him because, as I said, he's a top 40 guy. Top 50, not top 40, top 50. So if he comes back, there's better benefit for you. I think I do believe all leagues at least have one, not all, majority have one IL, has one IL.
Yeah.
So sure, I think you can put him there.
Just in case you have 3 players on your IL, right? And OG could be
I know
one
the
of those.
feeling. I know the feeling.
Yeah, right? I mean, there could be an instance wherein you have that, like 3 players IL eligible, and OG is one of them, Giddey is one of them, and maybe another guy. Maybe you have Garland as well, or Draymond. Well,
Garland, Draymond, OG, Giddey.
Yeah.
That's going to be hard. I would drop Giddey because I'm sure Giddey will not be back this week, which is your playoff.
Or maybe Van Vliet, right? Because that's a more realistic range.
I think Van Vliet will play tomorrow. I think it was a rest thing today. So I don't think he can be IL eligible because he's going to play every other
if
game.
you have an IL and an IL plus, right? He's eligible for IL plus. So just in case you're choosing between Giddey and OG and it's your playoffs, OG could be the better, or if you can, wait a bit, maybe we hear
Wait a
something
bit.
tomorrow. Right?
Wait a bit.
See, it's
Maybe
just the first
tomorrow
day.
they will.
It's just the first day.
Yeah.
If you're not too far off and you've counted the games, you're still going to be close within the games. Just wait a bit and see. Maybe
memorize your scores. Like, if you're 4 or 5, but all of the categories are close, you're still good.
Yeah.
If today your opponent just exploded and you're like 500, 10 blocks behind and 8 steals behind already, then you have to panic already. Let's say you're 2-7 and then 13, 15 assists
Lots
away.
of steals today.
Yeah. So
you had Scottie
you have
Barnes, you had Pascal, you had Gary Trent. Trent and Barnes. That's 10 steals already just between two players, and right.
and
So,
their teammates.
like we said, playoffs. Those are very important. 10 steals. Imagine if you have 10 steals on the first day from two players. That's going to be hard to catch.
It's timing, as I said. Scottie could have easily been a player that we'll talk about as a problem because he's not playing well, because the Raptors are playing well and are healthy. But on the other hand, now they're not healthy, so he's become suddenly a top 50, top 40 guy.
And we've seen what he can do when they're not healthy early this season. If you forgot already, because it's been a while, we already see what he can do. And this is just a glimpse of that. He was also, aside from this, he went 10 out of 10 at first 10 shots. He made all of them. Field goal is really high. So I'm pretty sure if you have Scottie Barnes, you're going to be really happy with his performance. So yeah, Scottie Barnes, SGA. Let's talk about SGA for a bit. Another great game today. If you're in the playoffs now, you don't have to worry about SGA as much, right? Because you're in the playoffs. But if you're not yet in the playoffs, he is still part of that worry player, right?
Yeah, the worry will always be there with SGA, but at least right now, I think even they won't just invent an injury and shut him down. They don't have Giddy already.
Yeah.
So they'll play him. Maybe not in back-to-backs all the time, but they will play him.
Yeah.
Unless he gets injured.
Yeah. So if you have SGA, I think week 19 playoffs would be perfect for you. You'll be able to maximize SGA. I think he'll be playing at least the first 2 weeks of your playoffs, right? The quarters and the semis. Worst case, he doesn't play much on the finals, but that's okay. It's easier to drop him there. So week 19.
Fantasy's timing. Imagine you'd have SGA killing you, but then you're number 7 seed or anything, and then you have SGA and this week. Oh,
right.
I mean,
and lastly, Ja Morant, 52 points. So Ja or Steph?
Ja Morant.
Are we really there? Ja or Steph? We pick. Guys, comment down. Ja or Steph? Who would you rather have at this point of the season? Who would you rather have? I mean,
again, I know Steph is a better player. I know he's still, the rest of the season, he might rank higher per game. I'm not sure overall. That is my worry. So,
all right, playoffs. Comment down below or comment wherever this is posted. Playoffs, Ja or Steph? Who would you rather have? I mean, forget about the rest. Because anyone can be rested. Anyone can sit out games. Just assuming they both play. Who would you be more confident in owning?
You can't say assuming they both play. The rest thing is not same for everyone. The rest thing is bigger for Steph. That's part of it.
All right. You consider the rest and all, and the injury risk. I'll put it out there just to throw it out that Ja is being reckless and could be. No, I'm just joking. We don't want injuries here. Anyway, that's it for our daily fantasy quickie. Yeah, exciting times because it's the playoffs, and like we said, hopefully this one helped you guys, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow for another daily fantasy quickie. Bye, guys.
Bye.